Okay.
Okay, County Property Committee will call this meeting to order. Citizens' comments, nothing was emailed in, correct, Amanda?
No, sir.
I'd like a motion to dispense of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Chuck. Okay, we're gonna move right to county property with Eric Dauber, new attorney. Has everybody picked up a packet that was up here with the correspondence? Previous questions we had outlined for him, he's answered all of them, fulfilled, everything's fulfilled. Then we had last meeting, we had separate questions to be asked. And Mr. Dauber has responded to them. Take a minute to review the paper if there's any questions on Eric's response.
Yeah, that was.
You know how to ask the questions.
What's that?
What specific one it is that he's going to be bringing in?
You want me to ask?
Yeah, do you know that?
Well, I guess if they're not storing it on site.
I think that's used by, you know, other companies. I do not.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you want to make them, other than locally permit. but-
Yeah, we hope,
What's that?
I was hoping you would do the committee.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Then we'll review it and then.
Okay.
ship it to you.
All right, sounds good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Joe.
on question 6, and he may have gave the correct answer because it states 18,000 pounds. It's 18,000 tons. He's not going to remove 18,000 tons in 2 days.
You still have a question on number 6. When we talk to Eric Dauber, we'll clarify that, Joe, okay?
Yeah, the question is 18,000 pounds. It isn't 18,000 pounds. 18,000 tons we allow.
All right. Good catch.
And the second question, if we do allow 18,000 tons and we have a flood like we just had and some of it escapes into the river, do we bear any responsibility by knowing he can't remove that much in 2 days? Do we bear any responsibility for allowing him to store that much?
I'll refer to George.
In my opinion, we don't.
Okay,
On that, did he have anything on the ground during this flood we got now? Do you know?
So I actually did visit the site yesterday. So the north part of the site still had some pretty deep water on it. So kind of where there's kind of a block enclosure in the front with guess, large, you know, poured concrete blocks, that
Like a
was
pad
still,
or something there?
yeah, they must have stored material or something there before, but, that's all still, you know, 3 or 4 feet deep of water. But where they plan on and are permitted to store, the material that they offload, that was all dry.
Oh.
And, I did talk to somebody on site and they said that area, even at the peak of the flood, was only, you know, had a couple of inches of water in that storage area. So that's actually kind of the highest point in on the property there.
Brian, is that what he's referencing by the silos, the pad by the silos?
Yeah, it's just north of the silos. In between, there's a building there. It's on the north in the cemetery. And then their scale house, it's just south of that between the, you know, the pole building and the silos.
Any more questions, Steve?
No.
And there wasn't a barge, you know, dock or anything that I could see there either, so.
Yeah, I just wondered, it would be a good test with all the water we had to see, you know, what it covered down there or whatever. And then, did we figure out anything about the daily truck traffic
The daily truck traffic for,
that he's gonna have, expected with the hauling the material in and out? That won't be a problem. Did we discuss that? I can't remember.
I believe he had up to 50 trucks per day.
Okay, that's,
I talked to Mr. Ernest.
okay,
If he has 90 trucks per hour moving in and out of there, they'd have to put in a turn lane.
okay,
He's not gonna come close to that.
okay. That was my question, I guess. What would facilitate a turn lane or have to accommodate that, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions yet, Mike?
Well, I'm looking through some of the requirements that I'm just going through right now. The fugitive dust control and method 22 monitoring at property lines. I'm unfamiliar with that. Is there any way that I could get some information on what method 22 is for fugitive dust control? It does concern me with the proximity of the products that they're using. Brown fused aluminum, silicon carbide, garnet, silophiles, manganese, sand, salt, gravel. I don't understand.
The sand and the pet coke have been taken off.
Oh, the silicon carbide has been taken off?
Silica sand and the pet coke has been removed.
Okay, what about silicon carbide?
I don't know how to answer that question. George, do you know?
If it's not specifically removed, then it's still in.
Because that is a combined product of petrol coke refined and silica sand.
Brian, do you know how to answer that?
As far as,
The dust control?
well, they have a fugitive dust control plan. You know, so our special use only requires them to, you know, use best practices to prevent fugitive dust. And it looks like they went kind of above and beyond and put a plan together here. And as long as they follow it, you know, I mean, it sounds like they're gonna be watering the roads, and if dust piles is a concern, then they'll have to look at covering it. I guess, you know, according to the plan, if we get some complaints, you know, then we can have them better adhere to their plan, obviously. So, maybe that's a question for them on, you know, are they gonna follow this plan to a T?
Did you see it in the packet, Mike?
Well, I'm looking at that, and I'm
That document.
asking just the short definition of method 22. I'm seeing that what they're doing is they're going to water, as Brian made mention, that's part of method 22. Overview is that they're just going to pick up any errant material that's blowing out to the property line. My problem that I have, again, is the proximity of the materials as to they may impact the nursing home. That's a big concern. Airborne particles. And I get the wonderful attitude that they have of making sure that we're not contaminating our property, but what about the other the properties around it?
The requirement is once per week. And their fugitive dust control plan, water will be sprayed on material at least once per day. So they're going above and beyond.
Visible, oh, so I see here, it's visible emissions are observed, water will be sprayed, okay. So water seems as if, so that there's no transmission, they're going to use water as the agent to dampen down the actual contamination.
The dust control.
For dust control. We haven't got anything in their document here that shows the toxic level of the materials, and it goes back to my question on the silicon carbide. Is it something that has a level of contamination that would be harmful to life, to people that would inhale it? And it be a concern.
If I may, George, can you explain that?
Which is Mike's question?
Yes. On the hazardous material and the findings.
Mike, my belief is that they are precluded already from using or storing any hazardous materials there. Hazardous as used in federal definitions.
Okay.
Okay, now, while you guys were talking, I also found EPA method 22, which is an EPA protocol for identifying fugitive dust and particulate emissions. Is all that means. It's an EPA protocol.
Thank you for that information.
Further questions, Mike? At this time?
Not at this time.
Alan, do you have any questions? Chuck, do you have any questions? Okay, Brian, you want to talk on the
Permits.
Yeah.
Oh, our department did issue a flood permit for the property. So they weren't actually required to get a permit from the Army Corps or the IDNR, due to the fact that they were not in the floodway, the storage was not in the floodway. There was some back and forth they had with the DNR, because there is an unnamed tributary there, so that basically the stream on the west side of the site is an unnamed tributary, and if there's no determination of where that flood boundary is, then they may have to get a review with the IDNR. In this case, they actually define where that tributary floodway or floodplain is, and the storage area that they propose is outside of the floodplain of the unnamed tributary. So basically, the only flood permit they needed was from LaSalle County. So that permit was issued and tied to, that they follow the lease agreements of special use, and that they're limited to storage of non-hazardous materials. I did review kind of all the documentation that Eric submitted. To me, it kind of looked like it answered all the questions that his response seemed appropriate to the questions that you asked. I think the only outstanding question I had was the couple of the, what type of fertilizer that they were going to use. And then I think I would like that clarification of the 18,000
Tons versus ton.
tons, and I might have put pounds in there by accident, but I think George asked me if I had any questions, and I may have put pounds instead of tons, I'm not sure, but yeah, I am kind of curious on how long that would take to offload off the site, so.
Okay.
But other than that, like their responses look sufficient, and it looks like, having a fugitive dust plan, I think is good to have in place. Obviously, we have that as a generalized requirement that they use best practices to prevent fugitive dust emissions, and actually having a plan in place and submitted to us, I think that's above and beyond what some other special uses have done. So, in some of these generalized requirements that we have.
All right. Oh, I got Eric. Amanda's gonna contact Eric. And we'll have 2 questions for him. Is everybody comfortable with the 2 questions? Mike?
Yeah, I am. There's 2 questions. Yes, I am. Another thing, as I was looking through here, the daily traffic, as we know, they're going to be involved with updating and doing some work on D. Bennett Road. So I am trying to question as to their use of either Ottawa and or D. Bennett Road. Is that something that we've worked with our health department, our highway department, as to the impact of truck traffic? It'll be all fine? They don't feel that there'll be an impact?
The conversation I had with Don was to that.
It was, everything was,
Within reason.
okay.
Or do you remember having that conversation?
That's the way I understood it too. And this Eric evidently talked to Don too. So
Yeah.
he's all above board on it.
He talked to Amanda. I have Eric's phone number right here. If that's what she's looking for. She might be in her office.
Should I mention anything that the highway department's probably gonna go with connecting point on their,
That's not on this topic.
okay. Just informational.
Yeah. Sorry about the delay.
She's calling him now, but no answer.
Oh, there's no answer. You did have a chance to talk to Eric, right? George?
Me? No, I just emailed her.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Calling the business now.
All right, I don't have
Did
that.
she use that number that he left at the bottom of his email?
I don't know, George. You have that number?
I have him on the phone right now.
Okay. Hey, Eric, Dave Torres.
Hi, Dave.
There's only 2 more questions for clarification.
All right.
First one was number 1, specific type of fertilizer. Is there a name for the fertilizers you'll be using other than dry fertilizer?
Urea.
All right, that's the product name.
Yeah.
And then question number 6,
Dave, there's another one, the potash.
potash.
Yeah, potash, yeah.
Okay. And then on question number 6, How long may the trucks will take to remove 18,000 pounds? We had listed it's 18,000 tons.
Yeah, it's 18,000 tons.
Okay, you should be able to move all that out in 2 days, correct?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we wouldn't have that much there anyway, but then, you know, you would just start, if you knew a flood was imminent, you would just start, moving it out ahead of time. Like I said, I think I answered that one question. We would just coordinate with the end user and, start, you know, getting it out of there.
Correct. It's more of a clarification question here. I think it was satisfied.
Okay.
Are you satisfied with that answer, Joe?
Should be able to move all that out in 2 days.
Well, he's really never gonna be storing 18,000 tons. We shouldn't allow 18,000 tons in our lease. There's no way he can get 18,000 tons out in 2 days if the river came up that quick like it did recently.
Are you able to hear that, Eric?
Yeah.
That's 900 trucks. Can he get 900 trucks in 2 days in and out of there? Impossible. I mean, why do we allow 18,000 tons? If he's not gonna be storing it, let's reduce it.
All right. Do you have any response to the 900 truck volume to move 18,000 tons? You still there, Eric? Went quiet. I don't think he's still there.
No, he's still there.
I think Joe's question got to him.
No, he's still there.
You still there, Eric? Might hit his mute button.
Well, I hope so, because we can hear his YouTube in the background. Eric, we can't hear you talk. Do you have a response?
Yes, 18,000 tons, I mean, that's worst case scenario at the height of business. Hello,
Yep, we can hear you fine now.
okay, yeah. Yeah, we're here. It's, 18,000 tons is worst case scenario. I don't envision ever having that much there. Well, yeah, there's right as it sits right now, there's not enough room for 18,000 tons anyway.
Correct.
It's echoing.
Is there any more questions for Eric while we have him on the phone? Eric? I don't hear any more questions.
Okay.
I appreciate you calling, being available for us today.
All right, that's all you need from us then?
Yep, we're gonna make a decision today and then it'll go to finance.
Okay, did you hear me when I said there was not room for 18,000 tons there anyway?
Correct. Yes, we did. Yep. I don't see that that issue holding it up yet at this point, so we'll see what the committee says.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Bye.
So that 18,000 tons, I think was a carryover from the Northern White Sand lease. So that's,
All right.
I think that's where that comes from. But it says here a barge can hold about 1,500 short tons. So it's about barges, 10 barges.
Would we have a recommendation when it goes to finance of modifying the tonnage available on site? Would that satisfy you, Joe?
It's just something that, probably isn't gonna happen, but there's no way that this number works. you know, whatever Brian thinks is, you know, and there probably will never be 18,000 ton on the ground out there.
And there's not enough room.
So why do we say 18,000 ton in the lease then? Let's reduce it.
I think, like I said, that was just, I think, a
Carry
carryover
over.
from the last one, and that's why it was 18,000 pounds. I don't know that, maybe you can find out from Eric how many barges he plans on, you know, can fit in that. I mean, they have a pretty, you know, specific designated area that can be, that they can store on, and it's not, I mean, I would say maybe it would hold, you know, a couple barges maybe full. I mean, it's only, you know, I don't know if I have the site plan, it's like, I mean, just estimating on size, probably 100 by 100 or 150 by 150 at the most. It's not huge, the spot for storage on there.
Steve,
But didn't we allow farther down from our property? I don't know how many feet or whatever, but the barge company or somebody's got that, and they were gonna use it to tie barges a year or two ago. You guys remember that, or am I imagining? Because there was some boater people from the Star Rock Yacht Club that was concerned about it. And I don't know if these people have been in contact with whoever owned it, if Northern White bought it or whatever, but I was just bringing that up. So maybe they could put some more there.
I think they might still own that parcel, or own it, Sam.
Okay,
And
well,
it's
maybe
kind of a flat spot for mooring of barges.
that's the way I took it.
I kind of remember a little bit that they said that they're, what they call them, dolphins, that they tied to, that they'd have to, if they were even gonna use that, they'd have to redo those too. Because they were all in bad, whatever they had there wasn't usable.
Yeah, I did.
But I can't remember the exact date, this one, Steve said.
Mike,
Mr. Tufty and Mr. Presidius are right. They're concerned with the fleeting operation as to how many actual barges that they could put along the river. And we agreed, I believe, with Northern White Sands at that time that they could store or have fleeted along the river no more than 6 barges, and they could double gang them along the property from where the old property Consumer Moline was up to our property that they were going to lease from us. That was the consolation that was given to the admiral for the Ottawa Boat Club, that he was satisfied because that backwater was used exclusively for their water skiing, etc., and pleasure. And a lot of people would come into the area from the arena, and they would, what would call a fleet their pleasure craft along Buffalo Rock.
Mhm.
So that was kind of a consolation that we agreed with it, that would only let them use that river area by fleeting no more than 6 barges.
are you satisfied, George, with urea and potash as a specific type of dry fertilizer?
I'm not a technical guy, but those are pretty common types.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna say, I think these people have given every indication of wanting to be good tenants and good citizens.
Agree.
Wouldn't you agree, Brian?
I think they've tried to provide all the information requested. You know, they seem to be, you know, really willing to work with the county, you know, and partner with the county to, you know, run a good operation.
Okay, I got a question for committee. We don't write the lease, we're not gonna rewrite the lease, that'll be the finance. do you think we have to have a recommendation for how many tonnage of product they're able to put on the ground, or do you want finance to make that determination when they write the lease? I'm looking for an opinion. Chuck?
My only question would be, but with what Brian said, they couldn't fit 18,000 tons on there, but through their busier time when it's not flood season, we shouldn't be able to hamper them there. Well, is all I would say, you know.
So even the whole property is floodplain. So the whole entire property. So they are only allowed this specific spot to store materials right now. And it would not, like Mr. Dauber said, it would not fit 18,000 tons there. Now, they are looking to possibly in the future, the only other places where they might be able to store materials in the future is some spots north by the road, but that's a deeper area, and that's in that unnamed tributary floodway area or floodplain area. So they would need additional permitting from the state, and they would likely have to raise the storage area outside of the floodplain to do that. So that, we'd have a lot more permitting. They'd have to go through a lot more permitting to add additional storage on the.
Al?
What if we liberally let Brian figure what they could hold on this patch they've got right now and put that in the lease rather than 18,000 ton, and I'm satisfied. You know, whatever you figure they could put on there, Brian, and that's, right now, that's the limit. Not 18,000 ton.
Al?
Well, in addition to what Brian was saying, to come up with a pound limit would be next to impossible. If you have 100 by 100 area, you have to figure out what the weight per cubic yard of the material that you're storing. 100 by 100 pound of rock is going to be a lot more than mulch. And as far as what he's storing, he's not going to store more than he can get rid of. Because if the river comes up and floods and washes $500,000 worth of inventory into the river, number one, he's responsible for it. And number two, he's going to take the loss. He's not going to store 18,000 tons of material that he could lose in the blink of an eye. And if he can't get it out of there within a day or two, I really don't believe that as a businessman, he's going to take that risk.
Any more comments, questions? Mike?
It's the white fertilizer that the farmers use around here for their farm ground. The urea fertilizer. You see how they pile it up along the fields and then they go out and spread that stuff with the big truck? That's the city's boys definition, unfortunately.
Any other comments, questions? Comments and questions? Okay, do I have a motion? Mike?
Motion to move forward to send recommendations to county property on Midwest Barge Terminal lease to the Finance Committee.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recommendation passes. Thank you, man. Okay, we're gonna move back to Mike, go ahead.
Can I, as amended? Or didn't really change anything, did we?
No,
So okay, recommended as presented. All right.
Finance has the opportunity to change it, right?
correct.
Okay.
They make they write, we're just give a recommendation to approve. We don't write the lease. Or
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, I'm gonna move to. Amanda's still here. Like a motion to pay the bills in county parks, we'll move to county parks, a motion to pay the bills,
So, second.
second by Alan, Chuck and Alan,
Thank you. Okay,
all in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Reports, I'll give Steve's report.
Dave, you done with me?
Yes, George, thank you. The tree service, he did reach out to someone else and never responded back. He's got the guy coming out to cut the trees down, 2 trees and $99 a piece. The governor has opened up parks for May 29th. June 1st, he'll be opening up the parks with signage. The pit houses will be open. The outhouses, the porta potties will be open, but all the running water facilities will be closed. The shelters will be closed. The playground equipment will be closed. He started moving forward with his fence, wooden post being put in. I think I covered everything. Is there any questions for parks that I didn't
So
cover?
he's gonna wait till after Memorial Day and then open it up, Dave?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. June 1st, Memorial Day's this Monday.
Dave, did you say the restrooms are gonna be closed too, or is he gonna open
The
those
the
up?
running water restrooms will be closed.
Okay.
The pit outhouses, the pit bathrooms and the will be open. There's a question on his garbage. People coming out with the garbage. He could run out there every day. Do we want him running out there every day so the animals don't get in the garbage cans? Or do we want the public to be responsible for their own garbage and take their garbage out with them? That's the question being presented by Steve.
What do you do in the past?
We had garbage cans out there and they were collected.
So Steve was doing it anyways. Right,
Sounds like it.
or his help. So,
Do you want to keep with the garbage cans or do we want the public to take their own garbage out? And if they have, reservation, 10 or less, then we'd have the dumpsters out there. What do you want to do?
I would say we better provide something, otherwise they'll throw it on the ground.
Yeah, it'd be more of a job.
What the hell?
All right.
I mean, if that's what we were doing in past years, I would say
We're going to stay with the garbage.
that would be my suggestion.
If they're opening, I mean, they are used to the rest of it.
I would say that the states around us don't collect the garbage. You're responsible for taking your own garbage out. But that's here nor there. That's not us.
I don't know, Star Rock, Matheson, they've all got containers you throw your stuff away, don't they? I mean, every park I've been in, they usually supply them.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Mhm. Okay.
not that all the people use them on the trails and stuff,
Yeah.
but they are supplied, Dave, so.
Okay. Mike?
Biggest concern from the park ranger was the issue of him having to collect the garbage? What brought up the concern? He's gotta go out there and collect the garbage?
I'm
And
not
dispose of
gonna,
it?
I can't answer that I'll let him answer that. At this time, we're gonna let him know if the committees, we're gonna still have the garbage cans out there, correct? Alan, how do you feel? Still garbage cans, Chuck?
Yeah.
Okay. Covered the trees, I covered the park opening. Bob,
Did you say the parks will be partial open?
the parks will be open,
Open, and are they gonna be able to use the washrooms or no?
outhouses only.
Hot houses?
The pit out, the pits and the porta potties only. Shelters will be closed, playground equipment will be closed. Picnic tables. Closed. Steve,
And on that subject, those, restrooms with the running water, the toilets, they are locked unless someone is using the enclosed shelters.
correct.
They're locked. They've got porta potties people can use if they drive in and sit and stuff. But those are always locked unless Steve has reservations, and then he, makes accommodations to open them and close them when they're done. So I don't, it'd be the standard procedures we've been doing.
At this time, there are reservations out in the future with more than 10 people. What are we gonna do about that? Does Steve cancel the reservations? Chuck?
I really don't think we can answer that, because I don't think the governor's made up his mind what he's gonna do, but I think that there's gonna be a lot of stuff opening up, personally,
At this
with or
time,
without his.
at this time, he has made a decision. It's 10 or less.
Yeah.
So where are we gonna do? We gonna follow? Greg, do you have something to add?
Yeah, we have two parks in Fish and Fun. We're following a governor order. We have reservations for the next 4 months, and we just sent a note out again. If you're having 10 or less, you can use our shelter. There's no running water. If you have more than 10 and you have reservations for June or July, we won't have an answer unless the governor releases. His next release, level 4, is at 50 people. So if you're planning more than 50 people, forget it. That's not gonna happen at all this year. But we do not allow any running water, fountains, bathrooms in any of our shelters. Our shelters are open shelters. Kitchen facilities are shut down. We have one family that's gonna have a wedding June 8th. And as long as they have less than 10 people, which they said they do, they can do the ceremony and use the porta potties. That's it. So we're following the governor order, and we're telling people your reservations are on the books, but we may not be able to honor it because the current amount of people is 10. The next level is 50. If they go to 50, then you can go up to 50. If not, we stay at 10. So watch the governor order. That's the way we handle it.
It sounds like a chair.
Well, how would you enforce that? You're gonna have the sheriff go out there and send his deputies out there and arrest people?
Nothing's enforceable. I mean, everything that's being done right now is not enforceable. We're told our own state's attorney tells us that. What we do is we try to police it ourselves the best we can. I'm not gonna get into a fist fight with somebody because they have 12 people. It's not gonna happen. All we can do is set guidelines and hope they follow them. It's not enforceable.
Okay,
That was the other comment.
so we're not gonna worry about that part of it. We're just hope that they comply. If they don't, they don't. Is that basically it then?
Steve has a citation book that he wants to use.
Don't do it. You're opening another whole animal.
Yeah, you go ahead and write out the
Yeah.
citation.
We'll find Steve hanging from a tree out there.
Because he was directed before, if he's got a problem, not to deal with it, to call the sheriff's department. And the sheriff also stated that he would be glad to respond. Steve,
And even for Steve's safety, he doesn't need to,
confront,
you know what I mean? I understand what he's trying to do with stuff, but I don't wanna see him put in jeopardy or something. Let the right people, the sheriff or whoever the powers may be, let them enforce that. That would be my suggestion.
there's nothing the health department does, correct? It would be a sheriff. Mike?
I understand that through executive order, the governor has responsibility to provide for, on recommendation of the local health departments, for the safety of the people. This is where this thing is turned around and giving too much authority, even though it's just like the situation. You're the committee chairperson. You run the meeting and you make suggestions to us. It's not your fault. There are other people behind the scene asking for safe distancing and creating 5 levels of going back to as normal as we can during this situation when we have a health risk. The health department is making recommendations for the safety of the people that live in our community. That's all this is. We're twisting it somewhere where it's one man's responsibility that he's being an ogre, or anything that's political, and this is wrong. We have to understand we have an obligation because we own public property to protect the people. Now, whether they take the advice, that's up to them. Enough of my political comment. Thank you.
So I'm gonna let Steve know we're going to have garbage can. Leave the citation book in his house. He's got a problem to call the sheriff, correct? Is that the committee's response?
I would say yes.
Something to consider, keep in mind, by July, we have to reappoint or have someone to be a park director. We have until July. There's none on the, Joyce.
I'll do it.
Okay. Anything further for parks? Reservations we talked about, right? 10 or less at this point. Greg, that was a good analogy on how to send a letter out or the response on the phone call. Okay. You have safety on here? Do I go to safety? Is there special?
Nope.
New updated projects. Okay, we'll move to Card House, Jail, Buildings and Grounds. A motion to pay the bills.
So move. Second.
Second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Capital asset review approval. Joyce, do you have anything for
I
us?
don't have any capital assets, I have to transfer them.
Okay,
I have a transfer for gas from the D home to county property, to the amount of $110.04.
that is the transfer.
Transfer from the D home to county buildings.
Okay.
And this is for the month of April.
Finance committee meeting they asked about how Fund 28's doing. The only thing that's taking place in Fund 28, I told them, was the D-home roof. And there's 3 vehicles for the sheriff department. There is nothing else moving out of Fund 28 at this time, correct? That's all shut down.
I don't know that we can shut it down
Well,
without
it's
a
on hold.
budget amendment that says they can't spend that money,
Correct.
so.
But there's nothing else moving that we
Nothing
have
else
to
is
consider coming up quickly.
And I can get a list of showing what's still open, so we know.
All right.
I'll do that.
Can we have a motion for the D home to county property?
So moved.
Chuck, seconded by Alan. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Oops, down here, sorry. I'll fill in the rest of it. Thank you.
Got the motion in a second?
I'm gonna put it down there.
And then when you
Is
have
there another
time,
sheet
will
I gotta
you scan
sign
that to
on
me,
there?
please?
Pardon?
There's another sheet on there?
No, this is not a capital asset, this is just a transfer.
Okay, we'll move to Bob. Do you have any reports for us, Bob?
Yeah, I got quite a.
Yes, I got a bunch of pictures for you. Okay, where do you want to start?
You do the trailer first.
Do what?
The trailer.
Okay.
This goes back when we sat down on a Friday with County Brooks, and we were talking about the trailers that they dropped off, and they were gonna use them for more. And you guys told the corners that they could go out and buy racks anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. And when everybody left, Connie, I asked Connie, could you call the other areas where they got these trailers? Like, did they get racks? And we did, and they found out that they couldn't get the racks because there were so many racks being backordered. So Monday morning, maintenance went out, bought wood, and we built shelving in here.
That's a nice machine.
So the shelving that we did was exactly what the coroners asked us to do. We made them like bunk beds, 6 feet long, and we stacked them just like a bunk bed so they could put a body on it. And all the material costs about $850. This way, when the trailer is done, we just chop everything up and we take them and burn it. Other than that, you would have racks in there for about $3,000, and I don't even know where you're gonna store all those racks when they're done. So that's how we did the trailer. Just like that. And it was all done in one day. That day was the hottest day, so. And the boys did a good job. We even put big bottom on there to make sure everything holds. So when we bring it out, they bring the trailer out by the highway. They rented this ramp from Seneca, and we had to put side panels on it for OSHA, because if they were bringing a body up there, we didn't want them to roll off with the body, so we went out and we got the shelving, and then we had to fill a lot of holes, because they couldn't wheel the pulley where they put the body in, because I did the holes. So we had to patch a couple holes on our ramp, make everything work. And this is how it looks. This is exactly what they put the body on, these plastic journeys. And then you can see the yellow side panels we have to put on there and fasten them to the ramp so they don't fall off the ramp. And we made some patch jobs there so they can roll something up there without hitting a hole or something. So they did a good job. And then after all that, Connie called us up and said, so we got another trailer coming with racks. And we had to go back out there and remove all the old wood. And they bring another trailer with racks. And they remove that trailer out of there.
Still in Leonore.
Still there.
Okay, what do you want voted next?
You go to the jail.
Medical room?
Yeah. The jail, remember we had those, there's 3 cells they use for medical use only. And when someone's sick or something, they put them in these cells. And what's so different about these cells than the other part of the jail, that the air gets moved in and out of the cell like every 10 to 15 minutes. It's like a program. You pump fresh air in and you new filter air in there so no one gets sick. And those get transferred to the whole building. And what happened is some of the inmates that were up there started ripping stuff off the wall, and we had to replace everything. So they came out there. These are the sensors that are inside, like the cell, that sensor their air volume in the cell. And what they did now is they put it inside the wall, so the inmates don't knock it off the wall. So this is saving me a lot of money because now they can't break it. And that was all completed, done deal. And they had to move wires and trace stuff all the way around it, put the new stuff in. So all 3 cells could be used at any time now, with new controls. You go to the courtroom. Courtroom, we all know the courtroom was a disaster with the benches. Didn't look good for the public to sit on stuff like that. And we got it approved to replace all that stuff. The judge picked the color that he wanted. Instead of a cloth, we went with a hard vinyl that's used on the boat, merino vinyl, so it could be washed. They repadded everything. And we had to take those long boots out, everything was nailed together, because they wouldn't do that, they just do the upholstery, so we did all that, and we screwed everything back on. And that's how he looked. And then the next step is they're gonna be the chairs, where the jury sits. And that part will be complete. So,
Do you remember, Bob, the issue on the chairs were $600 a piece for new ones?
yeah, if you remember, the one I bought for Judge Ryan, cost me $1,800, just one chair. So I says, you know what, before I reupholster any of the other chairs, I'm gonna call up and see what kind of deal I get for 14 chairs. And the cheapest was like $635 to $700. So it's cheaper to reupholster than save you money.
This will meet the criteria of being able to wash it.
Yes, all the material
With the
that was in the
COVID-19.
bar room was cloth. Okay,
So we're covered with the COVID-19 issue and the cleaning.
yes. And if you remember, I think it was last summer, if you guys remember last summer, we had to close that courtroom down because they had people that came in there and they had bed bugs. And we had to get it all taken care of. They shut the doors and we had to spray some stuff, remember?
Yeah.
And because we had cloth, these things were embedded in the cloth. So now you have to worry about that. Okay, so go to the nursing home. This is the nursing home of the water that we had. So you get water from the roadside.
Sorry, it's hard to type it.
That's okay.
Take that.
He's good. Now it's actually coming up over the bank. And this is where the highway took all the dirt in the back of our Martin building and they used it for the road when they were doing a road. And that's your back of the building. I was really surprised because usually we get most of that water, see that's the road, that entrance. Usually we get that water comes all the way up. So far it just went up that far. But you can see the road shot. But back of our maintenance area, where we used to be a cornfield there. See the boom now. We put sand to protect our boiler room and electrical area, which we just thought that that'd be the safest thing to do. It's always easier to move something instead of waiting till the last minute. So that's all taken care of. And that's the loading factor, which we're not worried about. It's not water. And it's very good that we didn't have to move anybody out of there, because everybody in there is healthy. You don't want to send them to places that are infected. That was a good move, just take a chance of keeping there. Oh, you have a women's pad, women's pad, right there. This is the return air duct, unit that was inside the ductwork that was shot. And they had to rip this thing out, take the, that's inside the ductwork. So they had to remove the ductwork, this is 50 unit out. It's a nasty dirt job. Took it all apart. And that's the newer one that they were just about installed, which is great because the motor and belts are on the outside of the ductwork, so you could make repairs. What do you think? So that's all completed. Now they're getting return air.
This is all at the nursing home, correct?
No, that's woman's pot. Right here.
That's the woman's spot?
Yes,
That was the air exchanger that we talked about?
yes. This is what we have in the courtroom. These are the face guards or sneeze guards we call it. What we did is we had the judge come in, ask him how you want these set up, so we can make them for all the areas in here. And he says 3 would be fine. So we made it so they can move around too. Because sometimes they just want to move them in a little direction to help another person. And that's what we did. Now, we made a bunch of these, and we went around to every place that's gonna be open to the public. And I think what I'm gonna see is when people come back to their offices, they might start asking for wish lists of more of these things. So, I'm pretty sure Connie Brooks is gonna help me with that, because she knows more about this safety distance. Because people are gonna come back and they'll see these and say, well, I want that for me too. So that's gonna drive me nuts, because we have other stuff to do in these buildings. So, but as you can see, they're all over the building. And even downtown, the guys downtown are doing the same thing. Jail. These are steel tubes that they put a seat on where they have visitors visit the people in the jail. And what they have to do, they have to bolt these to the concrete wall, and then they put a seat on her. And then when people come for visiting, they sit on her. What they did is when they bought these things, as you can see, we had to add another 6 inches because they were too short. And when they put them up, they were sitting right on top of the window. There's no movement, so they had to extend them more. So they extended them, we had them welded, and now we're gonna start installing them. This is 911. This is the AC unit that leaks. This is the one we put a gutter on. This is the one that we adjusted the coil, cleaned everything. I started leaking again. I'm getting a price of taking a unit like that and putting it on this side of the wall by the door, away from the rack, where they put the rack underneath the air conditioner. I also told them, I says, you can't keep no ceiling tiles because you get the hot air from the roof coming down. And what it's doing is making so much condensation in that room. It's not keeping up, because you got a trough, I got hoses, and I got a pump, and I still can't keep it from spraying condensation. As you can see, all the ceiling tiles open because they got wires all over. So on a hot day, that hot air comes down, and it's going right into the air conditioner, and it's returning, and it starts sweating more than what it can handle. And that's where I want to put it. I want to put it on a doorway when you first walk in. This way, if anything ever happens, I'm already figuring out a way to close the ceiling up. But that's going to be a little chore because of all the wires that got hanging all over.
Good question for you.
Yeah.
Might be a stupid question, but does it have to be above? Can it be down on the ground?
I don't know if I can do that.
I don't either. That's why I'm asking.
I had John Service come and give us some idea. I told him the situation that we have.
Okay.
And I think that's it. Okay.
Got a question.
Yes, Steve?
That when, was that 911 you were working on?
Yeah.
Who's paying for that? Can we get anything out of it?
Well, the sheriff came in because they, right away, IT came in. And they were going through the controls, and they were taking the controls and wiping them off and saying, oh, this one's $3,000, and this one's gonna be $2,000, and this one's gonna be another $2,000. And then I think the sheriff got a whiff of it, came in, and he says, why can't you guys fix this? Why is this? And I understand he's upset. But I told him, I says, Sheriff, the rack was never put underneath the air conditioner. You guys moved the whole rack. You put underneath the air conditioner, you don't do that. you're looking for trouble. And then he walked away, and then the next day I told him, I said, I'm gonna try to figure a way to move an air conditioner on the other side, because that air conditioner is 13 years old. And then he apologized, he said, I'm sorry I got upset with you and everything, but I said, I'm inheriting stuff that I have no control. And when you look at the survey that we did with Kurt, that's the first thing they spotted and said, you can't have that. And the same thing they did downtown with the phone system. They put it in our little air conditioner rooms where anything can happen, a line could break, a steam line, anything. They just do it, and then I have to figure a way to make it work. You can't do that. We all have to be on the same page. So, who's gonna pay for it? I don't know.
I just wondered, you know, if we could go to them. That's all, just a suggestion, and it's been tried before, I know.
I know,
I know.
The problem that I have is that they're all looking for room to expand.
And we ain't got it.
And we don't have room, so they'll, if you have equipment room, they're gonna put it in.
I understand it, I know where you're coming from.
I know. And when something like this happens, then they look at it and say, well, that's your equipment, you destroyed my equipment, so you gotta pay. And then I look at it and says, I didn't tell you to put your equipment underneath the air conditioner. Used to be against the wall.
Well, that's the point, Bob,
Yeah.
you know, you didn't move it underneath there.
But see, they expanded their equipment, so they needed a bigger rack, so they had to expand to move it.
With a work order?
Huh?
Did they give you a work order? Bill?
No, I never get a work order for moving racks. That goes to connecting point to somebody else. I don't do that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get a price and see how much it costs to put the air conditioner on the other side of the doorway. But these fixes that I'm doing, eventually they're gonna have to figure a way how we're gonna do this. Are we gonna have a central IT area where all this equipment sits in, like a normal place where it's protected? You can't have it scattered all over, even downtown. You go up each floor, there's all kinds of telephone equipment right by my air conditioning heating system. And that's not good because I take outside air in some of those units.
But these are Band-Aids, Bob, you
I
know that, I know that.
I know.
I've got Kurt looking at it with you.
Yeah, I know.
You know, in a big
stuff
picture,
out.
in a perfect world, we
No.
have a room where everything is, but
I know.
that's gonna be a while, I think.
The problem is that we're trying to expand so fast and we don't have room to expand. And this is what happens, you get caught up in stuff like that. And then they look at you and say, your stuff is causing a problem. And I say, okay, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that's why it's overheating,
Yeah.
right? There's not enough air. I got you. We've been there.
Yeah, over and over.
Okay. Basically, it's all we've been doing is stuff in-house here. While the building was closed, we've been cleaning a lot of rugs. We repaired a lot of valves. If you look at some of my stuff that I bought, we bought a lot of Sloan valves for the washrooms, especially these little washrooms and stuff. We replaced them while we had opportunity. So that'll help us big time.
The cleaning doing all right? Doing good?
Cleaning's doing good. They come down, I think they do it twice a week. They come and wipe everything down,
Every day,
almost every day, right?
every day at noon.
So that's good then. That's good.
Is there any backlash on the cleaning their personal workspaces?
No, not yet, but you know it's gonna come. You know it's gonna come. I left them all paper towels and spray bottles that they can do the surface areas for only frontline people that take care of people off the street that come in. I didn't do anything to office people that have their own little desks. I know that's gonna come eventually.
The directors and elected officials are all aware of it, correct?
Basically, yeah. We're gonna probably, Melissa and myself, will probably have a meeting, pass out some signs for it. And then, I think Connie Brooks and Joyce is gonna work with something with material too. How we're gonna handle material, and we'll go buy material for everybody. So that's in the works right now. There's some stuff that I see that we didn't have a chance to talk about. if we open the courtrooms, we're gonna have to have the washrooms open, right? Like where Don is at, or downstairs here.
Mhm.
Who cleans those washrooms when people go in there? Who wipes down the sinks and stuff? Then we wait like 3 hours or 2 hours, and we have someone come in.
The health department has the guidelines, but I don't know the who.
Yeah, I mean, these things have to be brought up because I'm maintenance, and I'm looking at it, I know there's gonna be issues, say, hey, they've been using the washroom, no one's in there wiping the stuff down. Well, okay. And we gotta get a game plan before all these people start coming in for jury duty, for court, for tickets. The washrooms will be open. People go in there and they go to the washroom. I don't know if they wash their hands or not, but the area has to be taken care of more than once a day for the volume of people that go in there. I don't know.
Alan's got a question.
Alan, I'm sorry.
I know it's probably a stupid comment and redundant to everything else. You should have signs made up, don't flush masks and gloves down the toilet.
Thanks for bringing that up. Here we go. Thanks.
You can find
Yeah,
somebody,
sure.
go to bed, take your mask, flush it from the toilet.
Yeah.
And then start over into the ejector pump and you'll be pulling the ejector pumps out.
Mike?
I received an OSHA alert concerning health precautions, and particularly when it comes, as we're going to start opening the facility and we're going to have our employees coming back this coming month, after the holiday. Okay, so there are some tips that they are recommending right now. The ideology behind this is to keep not only our employees, but guests that come into the facility safe. They right now have not been involved currently with creating this here legalese behind not providing a safe work environment. We always have to remember that the recommendations given from our health providers, our health department, is to protect life and safety. That's the bottom line behind all this. We do have contract. Our janitorial service has already been trained in biohazard, all of the other things. So it's a recommendation, or it's a talking point right now with the input from the health department, that if we've got to step up our cleaning efforts and hire our cleaning janitorial service to provide more of the service, it's going to have to be. Let's not expect that the general public's gonna come in here and clean the place.
No.
That is not what, and it's our responsibility as a public institution to provide a safe work environment first for our employees, and then a safe environment for our guests, the general public, to come into the facility.
I agree, Mike.
And as a county property committee member, I make a recommendation that who's ever in charge of making, and I guess if I can make a motion to work with our janitorial service to provide that extra support, we have to do it. Period.
I agree.
There
See,
is,
Michael, what you're bringing up is very important because they didn't add that in. If you talk to everybody here, they just want us to post signs and paper towels and spray bottles. But we have to look at, like what Michael says, once all these people start walking in, are we protecting the people that are using the washrooms after other people use the washrooms and wiping stuff? And if I have to use the cleaning people, it's probably, is that my cost? Or, it seems like everything's maintenance. Maintenance. Everything. I don't care what it is, it's maintenance. Now, I'm not the health department. I fix air conditioning, electric stuff. I don't put signs up, I'm putting signs up. I have to worry about the washrooms. They didn't bring up the washrooms, now I bring up the washrooms. I shouldn't have to bring the washrooms. I need their guidance. If you need air conditioning for your house or electric or something, I can help you, okay? I'm being put into a health situation right now, and I don't have all those answers.
No.
So I need them to tell me if I need the cleaning people to come, how many times they need to clean the washroom a day. They need to clean it every 2 hours, every 3 hours, then I can get a price from the lady. Then you guys have to say, yes, we'll pay for it, or does it come out of a special fund, a safety fund? You know,
Put it in
I just need a
I'm
little help.
I'm gonna,
Because when they come in,
What are
you
you
know,
trying to do?
Joe, what's gonna happen.
I'm gonna assume Fund 97 will be able to pay for this.
Okay,
I'll talk to Joyce,
okay.
and I do believe that's a good idea, but Mike, Steve?
You know, with this COVID deal and stuff, and I don't know if any money's gonna filter down to us.
It'll take a long time.
I know it. But like you guys building, we paid $800 or $900 for that wood, we got time and material.
Yeah.
Who do we go see, or what channels we go to try and get reimbursed like that? Or cleaning supplies, or we gotta have somebody extra do this or that? Are we looking into that or
Yeah.
anything, or is it, you know, I mean, EMA, or I'm not
Line-
quite
line-
figured anybody.
Line 97 is capturing all the costs, and Joyce is submitting it in.
Yeah,
Is that
I do
still-
that. I write everything I do, if it's with the
Okay,
schools.
then they'll sort it out and figure what we're gonna get paid.
Correct, remember Joyce is waiting,
Yeah, right.
hopefully.
But I just wanted to make sure that
Sure, oh, yeah.
every little thing, you know, whether we can pay it or not, but
We have to be
give it
able
a
to,
try, give it a try.
none of this was budgeted for, how we gonna,
Right, yeah, that's,
You can't, it's pretty hard to plan for a pandemic,
yeah.
you know.
I'll talk to Joyce, when we get out of here, I'll
Well,
talk
I'm
to Joyce to get the official
you know,
answer.
whatever she's getting, she'll put in, you know.
Yeah. Does that sound like a good game plan though, is have the service people hire some more people just for doing this? Or would that recommendation come from the health department? How are we gonna do this?
Well, we're gonna have to figure out how many people, extra people, how many times they're gonna clean it every time somebody walks in there, or.
Yeah.
Or every hour, every 3 hours, every 4 hours, I mean,
That's what I need, to talk to,
Right,
yeah, to
right.
talk to her and get a
Right.
game plan. I need help from them, the health department say, every 2 hours we need someone to walk in there and just clean. I don't care if 5 people walk in there, 2 people walk in there, 10 people. Just some kind of game plan so they can do these washrooms here, do the courtroom washroom, just make a round. At least we're trying to keep it safe. Even downstairs, we're gonna have a bunch of jury people. Yeah, you know, we're talking about how we're gonna spread them all out. And all gonna use the washroom.
I'll take a number. Okay. That's good for your report? Bob, is that good for your report? Alan?
Let me ask a question. This kind of hit me on the back of the head. We're talking about the parks and parties with congregating more than 10 people. You have a couple of hundred people down for jury. When they have a court call, that room is packed. Isn't that in violation of the gathering of more than 10 people?
Yes, it is. And the judge is working on that.
In our meeting, when we went down there, we had Rose, we had health department, we had the judges down there. And she says,
I gotta cancel this.
as long as we have
Correct.
6 people, 6 feet away from everybody, we should do it. Like 2 people could sit at the table. And as long as they have a mask on, that's fine, they can read a book. What they originally wanted to do is just put like chairs every 6 feet, and I says, who's gonna sit in a chair for 3 hours waiting to be called? It's like, you're punishing the person. So, I think we got some kind of game
A
plan.
normal guy.
That's what I call for jury duty.
Yeah.
Every chair at every table was packed.
Yeah.
Chuck?
I just go back to the cleaning stuff, not whether it's Dressbach or Montino as a so-called COVID cleaner that we have been using in the store. It's supposed to last for so many hours, you know, which I don't know how they figure that.
Yeah.
Then that's what we've been doing in the store, wiping down the sinks and the toilet and the doorknobs and the gas pumps. And we do that twice a day.
It's all,
Whether it works or it doesn't work, but
Yeah.
you know, the whole thing is, you aren't gonna be able to do a system that is gonna be absolutely foolproof because there's too many unknowns. How many people are gonna be using that bathroom? Most people who come into the store to go to the bathroom, Dave says, oh my gosh, I've seen them putting their gloves on before they touch the door, open it to go in. And he says, and I said, Dave, that's good. makes it better on you guys. I don't even get to go in the store except I go in there when it's closed or in the morning to do the stuff I gotta do because they want me, I'm deemed the garage keeper now. But I don't think that there is a foolproof cleaning for everything. I really don't. You can try, but that's all we're doing.
Okay. That's all I got, Dave. Unless you wanna give me something.
I got a couple.
I know you figured that. I figured that.
Unfortunately, we lost Mr. McCleary.
Yes, we did.
Have you been in correspondence with Kurt? Is there a plan?
No, not yet about that.
Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Jerry McCleary passed away.
He was supposed to be doing the woman's hot x-ray to find out where water's coming out.
He was a hydraulic engineer.
And he passed away?
Yeah,
Yep, I think he was like 53 days or something like
yeah.
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 So that's why there's no movement on that.
that. Right.
And then you were working with Kurt on the assessment. Is it done? Is it almost done?
He's got everything written down, and he gave one to Joyce, and he gave me two. I got one, and I gave one to Tony, and we're reviewing everything they put to make sure, they got the right wording for what piece of equipment they're talking about. And then he's gonna do a final, and then he'll bring it up to you guys.
Soon?
I hope so. Well, it's a pretty good book, Dave.
Well, it's gonna be.
It's like a dictionary full of stuff.
Yeah, it worked well downtown, so it should work here. Nothing downtown?
Nothing.
The 88 for compliance plan projects are all good?
Yes.
We don't have any single public use bathrooms, correct?
Maybe public bathroom.
Public use bathrooms with there are only one occupant. We don't, because of the mandate, we have to drive it and change the wording.
Well, I think downtown's got a bunch of those little.
That's what I was afraid that you were gonna say. We have to change the signage on that?
I think I talked to Lori Wayman about stuff like that too. Trying to figure something out. Now, we got main washrooms on the first floor that are.
They're not
big
single
water.
occupancy.
Yeah, but those little ones, I don't know.
We have to change those according to the new law.
What do you want me to put on?
Out of order.
How about that?
No, they have to be, they can't be men and women, it has to be,
Gender?
it can't be gender specific, it has to be open.
All right.
I've
I
got
just
the,
gotta make sure there's locks on the door, so when that person goes in there, whatever he is or his, whatever they are.
whoever
they
the
lock
person
door
is.
So no one walks in there.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
How about your D-home roof? Is there a plan?
I think we're gonna be sitting with them next week. And they're gonna come out here, and I hope everything's legit, and we'll show them where we want the dumpsters, and where to park, and all that good stuff.
Anybody have any questions? We're all good? Keep up the good work, Bob.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Rest.
Sure.
Did you really?